Yeah, now, stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one.
I know you're trying to mix up each time. Sometimes people think we don't do this every single time. Yes, he does.
Well, there we go. Mark, look,
No
let's go straight
performance
in it.
anxiety today.
Talking about mixing up, Mark. Sophie Cunningham has become one of the most polarizing figures in the WNBA at this moment in time. Yeah. What started as comments about eligibility in women's sports has grown into a league-wide cultural and political debate with protests outside arenas, maybe inside arenas a little bit with signs and stuff, players, coaches, and all fans weighing in, Mark. Our opinion has been searched for once again. Let's give it.
Yeah. I mean, she's certainly spirited, isn't she?
I actually, Sophie Cunningham is actually one of my favourite players in the WNBA.
You know what?
I love her attitude. I love her, like, isn't she like a martial artist or something like that? And when people were going for Caitlin Clark, she was like, okay, cool, I'm going to back you up. There was something she did. Someone hit Caitlin Clark and then the play down the end, she kind of went from reminiscence of Celtics Lakers kind of.
When you see those teammates, I'm going to say Steven Adams, for example, in the NBA, when you or Dennis Rodman, you see there's teammates who play on a team, and you go, I would love it if they played on my team. I'd be quite happy, because you know there's someone on your team who they want the team to win, and because you're part of their team, they've got your back, and they will look out for you. You know, in their own respect, they have a good game, but what they bring to the table is more than just, I can add load points, or I can assist, or I can do rebounds. They add more than that. They add something to your team, and it's, you know, when you got someone who's doing all these chippy fouls like we've seen, and it is, you know, Clark, but there's other people on their team, they're getting all these chippy fouls, and she goes bowling in there, the flying elbow, like,
and she can shoot. Mark, I love her.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing.
Wow.
She's my favourite player, I think. She's beautiful as well. It helps.
Okay. You went down that road.
She's gorgeous, isn't she? Yeah, she's great.
She's an attractive lady. Of course she is.
Look, before we go any further, Mark, we got to say it. Give me a little snowflake warning. There we go. If you are offended by words and other people having opinions, definitely don't listen to this podcast. This podcast is all about the WNBA and recent controversy. This podcast is not for you if you cannot listen to people having different perspectives. So there's your warning.
And if you don't like it, tough shit.
And in fairness, I genuinely believe the real issue is that you can have an opinion and I can have a differing opinion, and we can talk about it. And as long as we can talk about it and you're not trying to enforce your opinion on me and my opinion, that's all you need. We can disagree on something. We don't always have to have the same view just because you believe it. Yeah?
Except if it's mine, because I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, does that mean you're now going to switch off?
No, I'm not going to switch off.
So yeah, look, if words upset you, definitely.
Yeah, not in the right place. I mean,
switch off. There's your warning. The warning's gone out, Mark.
Do you
want me to tell you what she said? Sophie Cunningham. She's actually turned around. Her comments were about an individual transgender person and about eligibility in women's sport. So she was arguing that a biological male shouldn't compete in a women's league, and said that her motivation is all about protecting girls and women's sports. And in fairness to her, she has also said she doesn't dislike or hate transgender people, and wants to approach the issue with, this is her words, love and respect. But she's just saying the women's sport, the league, should be protected, or women's zone should be respected. And again, this has just created loads of controversy now, because the WNBA has that controversy, isn't it?
It does. And because you have a lot of eyeballs on the ongoing issues with the WNBA where they're just fighting in themselves for some stupid reason. And because she's a feisty character,
great character,
then she then says things that are always a talking point with the softer attitude, shall we say, in the West. And I'm going to say the West, I think, is the important thing here, because not many other countries, it's always America that starts this off, because they've gone very one way and the other way. And we saw it with Disneyfication, we called it that many years ago. And they did it in the sport with swimming, where they actually had an athlete who then...
This is at college level, right? You're talking about?
It was at like the national level. The ladies' national champion is a transgender lady who, when they were like 19, 18, 19, I forget the ages.
Sure this is college swimming, isn't it?
But they're the national champion, that's what I know.
Yeah.
They basically...
I think they were 247th from memory, or around there in the men's.
This is basically where it all kicked off, because they said that's absolutely fine. And the argument was, okay, they were already a 6'4" male, and then they decided to transition. You go, physically, their body has already developed and gone through those stages. Ethically, people say, well, in that case, people should be allowed to transition when they're like 10. There's a whole ethics thing on that, which is complete nonsense. You're a child, you have no brain cells to do stuff like that. So that's a moot point. But when it comes down to it, the fact, this is my opinion, but there's a...
Mark, with respect, this is your opinion.
This is my...
You're allowed an opinion.
I'm going to layer that one further. This is my opinion as a parent. And legally, I'm obliged to... I love my daughter with all that. She's my universe. There is nothing more important to me in my life than my daughter. The fact remains, but legally, I'm bound for her safety and to look after her until she's 18. Legally, I have to look after her by the law and many lands around the world. Now, that is just a simple law. Morally and with love, I will always will. But just looking on that thing, you can't make a decision on what someone's going to make for the rest of their life based on that. So that's just my opinion on that scenario.
I got a really good example.
But
would you let her have a tattoo?
No.
It's really interesting. When you ask people, let them have a tattoo.
No, yeah.
Age and go, no.
Yeah, that's gone around the houses. Oh, I'm not sure about tattoos, or when they're 16 or 15 or something. But they can make this, which is so much bigger, you can't reverse. Anyway, the point was they allowed an athlete who was physically way developed compared to anyone else. They went through the proper channels and had 2 or 3 years of whatever that is the necessary treatment and have transitioned to a lady. Great, good for you. You live. Everyone deserves to be happy. Don't get me wrong. Everyone deserves to be happy, but you have to draw a line. And my argument is, if everyone's allowed to be happy and do what they want to do, then that means that it's okay for people who are murderers and paedophiles and anything like that to exist. That's the truth. So there has to be a line somewhere, and the line is, if you were a lady and then you wanted to go into men's sport, that's great. Have we seen any of that happen yet? No. It's always the other way around. Someone who's a man who has a physical advantage wanting to go into a ladies' sport because they're not good enough to make it in the male sport, so they transition over, go into the ladies' sport, and look, physically they can dominate.
In fairness
to
whoever we're referring to, like,
it's happened.
It's not because, I want to win, maybe. It may be not because of that. It may just be, I want to do it, and now I want to play in that level. And it's like, or that game. But it's like, I agree, you need to draw the line.
They put, there was a famous thing where they've said in recent years, they actually made something. You know, they've done this enhanced games, which everyone's...
Oh, yes, you're allowed to take drugs and stuff like that.
You can go to town, do what you like with it, yeah? And some people have done that who were Olympians and very, very highly decorated athletes who've gone, you know what, I'm still not done yet. And people say, oh, that marks your career. And you go, oh, you know what, that's down to them. But it is not the same as being a gold medalist at that place does not hold the same light to being an Olympic person. That's one thing, fine. However, you can't have someone physically who has a big advantage or has a physical advantage like better lung capacity or so forth because they physically are a man if an alien came down and dissected you, you're a man. You have a physical advantage in a physical sport. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a really good example for you.
Let's get Shaq on these drugs. Give him 3 years. He hasn't played for ages.
I mean, what's to stop an NBA player saying, I'm retiring, but I'm going to go one more year, winning a WNBA championship, and I'm done?
No, let's do it. Shaq's 54, 55 now. Let's get him on the hormones for 3 years or whatever, and then he'll be 57, 58. Can you imagine a 7'2" Shaq on whatever it is that is, by their rules, acceptable to allow him to be eligible?
Yeah, I mean, look, Mark, I've got a really good example for you.
That's where the rules need to be very specific.
Well, this is in France.
That's what they're asking.
And this is Julia Ditate. I don't know, Ditate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you say that. She's playing with Monaco in France's second tier.
Okay.
Like National League Div 2. 6'3". She's transitioned. She has won Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Domestic Player of the Year for the last season. She's getting 20 rebounds a game. I think I've got one stat here from one game, which is 45 points, 33 rebounds, 17 blocks, 7 steals. And I've got some of these videos, and I've played them to you before, and it would be the equivalent of you and I going and playing some 10-year-olds and just dominating and just saying, yeah, it's just not fair, is it?
No, look.
It really looks unfair. It just looks like someone playing, I don't mean to say it like this, someone playing with children, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The difference in height, the shoulders, the physicality.
Yes, it's if you, I know this,
and there's calls for that person, that French Ditate, to go and play in the WNBA.
Yeah,
okay. And they've said if she goes, and she's actually quoted this week saying, "It's a WNBA call. I'm ready."
Well.
And look, can I just say this for the record?
WNBA is the Disney train, isn't it? So
yeah, I'm saying this for the record, and I know you agree with me there. And look, if anyone is upset by what we're saying,
they haven't turned off after what I just said.
Yeah,
we're good.
But and we're saying this to the trans community, and I think I'm speaking on your behalf, Mark. We're talking to all those athletes, whether it's basketball, whatever. Like, people are not against you, okay?
No, absolutely not. No.
And we are all empathetic and sympathetic to all the challenges that you face in your life. And we hope you have the best life you can. And nice people, look, Mark, if you said to me, can you call me Susan? Look, we're nice people. We'll call you Susan if you want to.
That wouldn't be a name I'd go with, actually. I'll have to think about that.
Well, but the point I'm making is any of these challenges and changes that people go through cannot be at the expense of young ladies, young girls born having a sport of their own that's now infiltrated by other people that were not born the same way as them.
No.
That just feels that it's unfair. And I think that's the nicest way I can say it.
The lady...
Do you agree with that?
100% agree with it. And the ladies, when they were talking about the swimming, there was another case of I think it was a long distance race, and a trans athlete had entered that, and the other participants, the ladies, were like, this is a ladies' race, and they've trained for decades, and they were the top of their game. They were,
And then someone comes in, I'm now 10 seconds behind you. Yeah, it's like
because
crazy.
They have a physical advantage of the way in which their physiology is made up. And, I've got all respect for anyone who goes through any change and wants to do something and live a life that they want to live it. That's great. But in the same way that you have adjusted certain compromises, one of the compromises is if you wanted to be an athlete, you would have to be an athlete based on your physiology.
Yeah.
Now, the people who get offended the most about this are people who do not agree with them being a male or a female. they agree with I identify as an owl or a sprout or something like that, which that's just its own thing. Because a lot of people will accept if you've gone from one transition to another transition, inevitably there's going to be some levels of compromise. And one of the compromises is there are certain things that you can't do now that you could do before, which makes sense. You know, if you're a man who has transitioned to a lady, for example, I always get it around the wrong way. If it's a trans man or a trans woman, I always get it the wrong way. But I'm going to tell you something that you've forfeited. You might laugh, but if you go the full operation and you have everything downstairs changed and that, you have given up your right to stand up and take a wee. Now you're laughing, but am I wrong?
Okay. So basically you're saying you've given up your rights and to eligibility in sports.
You have given up the fact in sport. You've given up the fact of from now on, I'm not going to use a urinal. And that, however crazy that sounds, it's actually a fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't have urinals in ladies' toilets. So you've actually foregone the... Right, and that's only obviously if you go the full way and have those things done. The problems come where you have someone who says, I'm going to do this and identify a certain way, but I still keep all of my masculine elements, and I went through puberty as a man. And, you know, you've got your sons, and your sons of ages of like 15, 13, right? Look at their ages now. And, you know, as a father, think at what point could I have stopped their aging and then be equivalency to my 10-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
And like genuinely, you look at it and you go, when people say, oh, I've done that and so forth, and when I was 17 or 18, you go, no, like 11, 10.
Do you know what the irony, I think, with all of this
they've all grown up. Like,
yeah,
your son's taller than me.
I agree.
And he's 15. Like,
but the irony with this is it's actually women who are taking away women's opportunities.
Yeah. And the WNBA...
They won't agree it like that.
And here we go. This is why the WNBA is perfect for this lady. Because the WNBA likes to beat itself up, eat itself. They didn't even put their number one player, the one who sold the most jerseys,
most ticket sales
on
TV and live.
Yep. They were getting something like 2.6 million when they were playing, 2.4 to 2.6 million people watching the games when they were playing that team. Other teams was like 1.4, 1.5. And you go, it's
I got another one.
Even, so
when she was injured, attendance went down.
Oh, yeah.
And online TV ratings went down by 50%.
Now, I will say this. There are a lot of talented ladies in the WNBA.
We're talking about. We're not saying that. We're not saying it's what we're. Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't like the media. I think you're in agreement there. Sometimes the amount of spin that they put on this narrative does not help the situation. Oh, that person said this or they did that, or whatever. There was a great clip I saw recently of there was a player who, Caitlin Carter, got fouled, and then she went down and she was tying her shoe. And the opposing team, I don't know who the player was, but she actually stopped, leant down, and started doing her shoelace as well, and gave Caitlin a tap and was like, "You good?" She's like, "Yeah." And I don't know who it was, I don't know what the game was or anything like that. But you look at that and you go, there are people who are actually playing and want to play the game and play properly.
Well, I mean, that's 100% amazing sportsmanship, isn't it?
But the problem is the media will say all the opposing teams hate her. Everyone hates her. It's like, no, there is a collective of individuals. And unfortunately, the person who runs the WNBA, the commissioner and so forth, for some reason, they have allowed very specific...
a culture to breed.
Yeah, they've allowed that to happen. And it's not just within a person. A lot of people were blaming one particular Angel Reese, saying that she's the source for the negativity. It's like, no. That's like saying everyone who doesn't like Larry Bird is a Magic Johnson fan. It's like, that's or vice versa. It's like, that's not how it worked. they had a bitter rivalry in college. They brought that to the thing.
And what a rivalry to bring.
Brilliant rivalry.
Ratings shoot up. If only Angel Reese could hit more layups, you know, it'd be great.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, she has to be careful. Sometimes she oversteps some of the things she says.
I think she oversteps.
She has to do it because of the way in which people always say, "Oh, Caitlin's the best." You go, actually, no, she brought it as well, but she phrases it maybe in the wrong way. And some of her past moving in college, she sort of dropped a team to then do that because she wanted more minutes. She then moved somewhere else. What has followed her in the stigma of I want to be the best and I want to play at the level.
She thinks she's the best.
On one side of it, you can look at it and say, fair play to you, and she's done everything she can to make sure she's got to the room she has, and she's got into the room. She plays in the WNBA, so you give her credit for that. She made it happen. But there's the what cost, and that's where the narrative changes. Where everyone says, "Oh, Caitlin Clark, she was wonderful. She did this, that," and you go, "She's a dirty player as well." Caitlin Clark is a dirty.
She
player.
Can't play defense, and she does flop a little bit,
big time.
But I will say that when you look at the WNBA and that 50 best players in the last 50 years, you do have Angel Reese on there, and it's like, okay. I saw a call the other day where there was absolute daylight between a defender, like I'm talking maybe 30 centimeters of space,
a foot
between a defender and her.
Yeah.
Angel Reese just happened to look like she got when you kind of tweak your knee, like it almost stops. Or,
it locks out, sort of thing.
Not reverses. I can't remember.
Yeah, hyperextend.
Hyperextend. She kind of looks like she does it really, really briefly, and she falls over.
Oh, that hurts.
Ref, foul. You look and go, what? That's not foul. Like, everyone saw daylight, but the referees don't. And look, again, I say this, the problem, I said this for Caitlin Clarkin last time we talked about it, and I say this for Sophie Cunningham as well. The problem with Sophie Cunningham is she is white and she's straight. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's creating so much diversity.
Yeah.
And you know what the dangerous thing with this whole thing is?
I think Candice Parker said that, didn't she? On a interview recently.
What?
I think it was her who said, well, we all know what the problem is against. She's like, I don't get it. I don't know what the thing is against the Caitlin Clark thing. It just needs, we all know what the problem is, but no one says it. And that was her words. And she's, respected, great player. And she's even saying it. And you're like, look, again, I want to iterate. Caitlin Clark is not perfect and she is not clean by any stretch in terms of the thing. But you can't look past the stats of, does she deliver? Yes. Does she get the points? Yes. Is she getting...
Is she elevating your league? What's that thing, the ship analogy?
Rising tide raises all ships.
She's rising everyone's profile's going up.
Yeah.
Getting more awareness, more viewership. Everything's going up. Is the league still in the red?
No, they're making positive at the moment because of this.
Because before, it was
subsidised. It's no secret that a lot of sports teams are heavily debted, heavily subsidised, and we're in the UK. Just look at any of the massive clubs; they're all like 400 million in debt, whatever. That's no normal thing. But the league itself is normally under that.
Yeah.
Up until very recent years, the league has been hemorrhaging money and it not even making any, just literally hemorrhaging money and supported by other things. Now, it's the argument is always equality versus equity. And now they've got eyeballs on them because they've brought something that people are going, we want to watch these games.
So I think
now you've got equity, but let's not make that mistake of thinking this is the same game as an NBA game. It's not. It's a different game. Fundamentally, if you look at women's football and you look at men's football, it's the same game. If you look at women's tennis and men's tennis, it's a slightly different game. It's the same rules, but it's a slightly different game by the way it's played. And that is the same thing with basketball. It's just a slightly different game. It's a different type of pace, different type of shift. You get different types of shots, but it's still a good game.
Yeah.
And arguably, I enjoy watching, say, women's tennis a lot more than men's tennis, because men's tennis often goes around just the serve and a few other bits. Women's tennis tends to be more about the rallies, and that's a bit more strategy, a bit more into it than that, which is much more entertaining.
And look, if there's, why don't you create a mixed league? Create a mixed league. Everyone can. That's where these players go.
Yeah. So a lot of people,
and women and men, can go in there.
We've talked about it before, but a lot of people, you have all of these issues with players getting picked on, players getting pushed, and all that sort of stuff. There's a physicality in basketball that everyone always talks about wanting back, but we've seen it in the men's game when they bring the physicality in. People get whistled up, and you've got people like Shea who are quite happy to flop. Luka flops. LeBron is the famous one for flopping and faking injuries and pretending he got hit in the face when no one was even near him. I mean, it's embarrassing. And unfortunately, people as young players see all of this and they go, oh, that's how we've got to act. So now let's apply the same logic to the WNBA. You say, if you want people to keep watching the league, sustainability is your most important thing. Because Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Paige Bookers, all of these players, you're not going to see them year on year coming through. Are you? Candice Parker, how many generations are Aya? How many generational players are you going to have at the same time? Every year coming through, every year wanting to go into the league. But if they keep acting that way, they dilute the league, people will stop watching it.
Viewership is going down, Mark. Because people are just going, oh, it's all the drama. But you know what? And it's where you even some of the lower teams are playing. You were playing in front of 2,000. Well, you're now playing in front of 8,000.
I went back and looked at the stats for those games that I went to see, and it was something like 3,000 or 4,000 people in the stadium. And I was looking at it thinking, I didn't see 3,000 or 4,000. I mean, it was in the Target Centre, which is a reasonable size stadium, but you can go back and look at the stats of actual attendance and you look at it and think, didn't feel like that. So I wonder how many of those tickets were purchased by the teams. I want to know how many people attended.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's back then, because I'm telling you, I was looking at, but I did look at the prices of the tickets, and it was like, I say, mine was $35 for a ticket, and I was in the lower ball.
And what is it
fairly
now?
Far forward. Now it's more like 60.
Okay, so they're on their journey.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I obviously.
If you were going to some of those other games, we're talking like, for where I was sitting, it'd be like 110.
Okay.
And if it was an NBA game, that'd be like 280. So they're on that journey. All the prices have gone up a bit, but compared to what it was, it was, I was like 4th, 5th row, like $35. Because I thought, you
should have gone courtside, Mark. You're a disgrace.
It was like 100 and something. It really wasn't. But there's websites. Go check them out where you can go look at this. Yeah. And it was like May the 29th. I think it was. Well, I know it's Seattle Storm.
Yeah. But look, this is what I was going to say. This is where it's dangerous. This is where any kind of ideology is dangerous, whether you agree or not. And where I've seen in the WNBA, you've got. I think there was some young ladies who bought a poster supporting Sophie Cunningham, something like that. I can't remember what it said.
Yeah, some kids, yeah.
And relatively close to those young ladies was someone holding another poster going against Sophie Cunningham. Okay, now. The poster with the young lady supporting her, that was removed.
Okay.
The other one wasn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And this is where I think there's a danger in potentially this is bigger. It's bigger, what I'm about to say, but I think the danger isn't having people with different opinions. It's when any opinion is presented as something that everyone else is expected to accept without discussion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but nobody is entitled to having their opinion accepted as a fact without any kind of scrutiny. And that is that what we're talking there, I believe, is dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's
and I'm talking on not just on this subject. That's the bigger thing. Like, for example, when people are talking about language around this subject, like, you're now expected to use this language. Well, we're going to have a discussion about it. How can you're going to enforce language on me now? Can you see what I mean? Yep. I think that's where the danger comes.
Mike Tyson, it's a quote he's used in more recent years, but everyone always brings it around, and I love it. And bear in mind, this is Mike Tyson, baddest man on the planet. Forget what he did with that YouTuber guy. Don't worry about any of that nonsense. Anyone who's listening who never saw Mike Tyson in his prime, there is no person on the planet wouldn't look at him and go, that was the scariest man on the planet. Because he was just pure fueled rage, would just come out composed and just annihilate someone. He was and obviously, he had his own demons, and listen to stuff about that. He talks about it in those phases. He was an animal, no question of that. He said social media made you way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. And I think that encapsulates pretty much everything nowadays. Great quote. Yeah, so Mike Tyson, he's a deep man, lunatic.
And with all of this,
but it's true. People can say stuff now, and they go, "Oh, I can say this." It could be the most someone who's been offensive or whatever. But if they support it and they're wearing the right flag color or whatever, they'll go, "Yeah, well, that's great. You can say that." But someone says, "Hang on a minute, you can't say that to someone." They're the one who's punished.
Get hauled up.
Yeah.
You
can't.
It's
the same with these girls. It's like, we support you. You're not allowed to say that. It's like, why are kids not allowed to say we support you? If she said something horrific or racist or discriminatory or something, and they're saying about that, pull that aside.
She's actually said it in a really respectful way as well.
Yep.
And when she's being questioned upon it, many times since, she says the same thing. I've said what I've said. And she leaves it like that now.
Okay, I'm going to mention Dallas Mavericks now.
Oh,
do you remember when that snake got rid of Luka?
What has this got to do with the WNBA?
It has exactly the same thing to do with it.
Go on then.
When the snake got rid of Luka and binned him off, for months afterwards, there were people in the crowd, do you remember, taunting.
Oh, yeah, and they got removed.
And they were getting removed.
Yeah.
And you go, what? So what I'm saying is, it's not just, doesn't just apply to WNBA. And this is why I was saying about, it's a lot of sports in America particularly. They have gone very, very, whichever left wing, right wing, whichever way you call it. I don't care.
This is our opinion.
Yeah.
Go with it or go away.
You go, all those people who are like, oh, they can't be doing that to a general manager of so-and-so. They can't be selling those things. You go, take that general manager and go to a European or even a South American football game. Go to a football game and watch what happens to the coach or the manager. Was it Everton? I believe that they had someone who was ownership issues, and the people you were like chanting basically that we hate the owner, but because they own the club, it's like the owner's like, I don't care. But they literally were singing songs and chanting about how much they hate the owner and stuff. And you go, they're fans. They're the ones who are paying for this to happen. Yeah. So they can do what they like. And their argument was, they're not allowed that kind of free speech, which, in America, obviously.
Well, I think everyone now, a lot of people just go, can we be bothered to have an opinion on something because it's not worth the aggro? And I know me and you have made a very conscious decision over, how long have we been doing this podcast? A couple of years. And we've made a very conscious decision that we've kind of not hidden our views, but we've not said anything that, but like this topic, that would cause, we'll dance around the subject and we'll use a bit of comedy but we get the scrutiny anyway. People come up to me. We've been in very uncomfortable situations where you think, hang on, all I've done is just made a joke about France and now you want to punch me. Like, come on. Or I did a poor impression of Trump and now you want to punch me. It's just like, you know what? If we're going to get that anyway, we might as well put our own view out there. And it's sad that we're in a world where you think, maybe I shouldn't say what I want to say because I'm going to upset people and I'm not allowed to do that because then I'm cancelled and all that. But we've, again, just got to a point where we're going, we don't give a crap anymore.
Yeah.
This raises the question that should WNBA players be encouraged to speak openly on divisive social issues or not? Does it inevitably shift the focus away from basketball?
I mean, I would say...
They say no one have any view whatsoever. But you can't with a league that has that view.
We've seen it across a lot of sports in America.
Mark, we're going to get so much back from this.
Of course we are. Look, when Colin took a knee, a lot of people were like, why is he doing that? A lot of people found it disrespectful to the flag at the NFL game, obviously. And ever since, a lot of people stood with him. When the NBA had the bubble and they decided to use that all the players started wearing Black Lives Matters t-shirts, not necessarily understanding the good and the bad that represented. And they used it as a way. And then LeBron, for example, made lots of comments about China. And I think it lost 1 point something billion off the value of the NBA. And they had to do a lot of backtracking based on that. But
I remember that.
People forget all those things. People forget all those things in history and they go, sports never should be. And I don't know where it was from, but a lot of people use the Olympics as the example in Berlin and say the difference between politics and sports should never be mixed. Obviously, there's been lots of, in the Olympic history, there's been lots of tragedies and association with negativity and religious or political views coming into a sporting platform. And you go, this is here. People should be allowed to compete. They just want to compete at a level. And the reason I'm saying this is because that circles back to, if there is someone who is a basketball player and they say, I want to compete at the highest level of basketball possible, I'm all for it. However, if you genetically are male and you have a genetic blueprint that is male, you can't play in the ladies' league. In the same way, if Steph decided that she wanted to come and play in the NBA, you go, okay, go for it. You're a great shooter. There's no question of that. If A.O. Wilson said, hey, you know what? Or Temi said, actually, yeah, I'm going to go and try out for, I don't know, the NBA or a G League or whatever. Great, do it. But that's not, there's a line. You can't do that. And that's what everyone's discussing. Like, why can you have something that you allow people to do this, but you can't allow people to do that? It's like,
no, I liked your example of, like, if you commit a crime, there has to be a line. There has to be a payment that has to be made. You've made a crime.
There is always a line.
You need to go to jail for 10 years. You know, there has to be a line with something.
There's always a line, and people at the moment don't want to have that line. And there's a lot of, in the world, there's a lot of negativity. We don't want it to be negative. That's why we want to just have it as a discussion. But sometimes people mistake discussion for debate. And the difference between a discussion to a debate, for those who do not know, I don't want to teach you to suck eggs, is the fact that debates are always someone wins and someone loses. And that is the difference between a debate and a discussion. A discussion, it's not about who wins and loses. It's just about everyone having the conversation. And while I'm saying this serious point, Paul's just looking at pictures of Sophie Cunningham, saying,
showing you
all her stats,
there you go.
All her pictures. So you're a big Sophie fan, I take it.
That is why we named the podcast dog Sophie Clark.
Sophie Clark. Unfortunately, the podcast dog has some bad habits as well as good habits as well. So, not all things are equal. But I think the problem with the WNBA is a very simple one.
They need to back off their stars.
No. I think it's as simple as that. It all comes from the top. It all comes from the top. And the NBA, because it is basketball, you have to run comparisons to it. Look at David Stern.
What?
And how he managed
Crypt Keeper.
No. It's Adam Silver. Go back to David Stern.
Oh, yeah.
All through, the 80s, 90s, 2000s era. Look at David Stern, what he did with basketball, the way he did it. He rode the Magic and train. Then he jumped on the Jordan train. Then he looked on the Lakers train. David Stern was all about not everyone liked him or agreed with him. Fine. Then, okay. Now we've got Adam Silver.
Crypt Keeper.
Again.
That's your words, not mine.
Well, you've just said it. Not everyone likes some of the decisions he makes. But a lot of the time, he has been less controversial, it's fair to say, than David Stern. Yeah? Now, the alignment I want to look at there is Apple. You had Steve Jobs. That was your David Stern. He did something very different with the NBA and the league. Look at how those televised NBA drafts were with David Stern going, and now this is David Robinson going to the Spurs. Like, you see those, they look like nothing compared to what they are now. And Adam Silver's very much like the Tim Cook era of Apple. So my question, and they've signed an $11 billion TV rights deal, with multiple vendors, which we all have fun with that. But is he going to be commissioner of the NBA for the next 10 years? I don't think so. Who's going to be the next commissioner of that? What does the game of the NBA look like? And it's the job of the WNBAs to look at who the current commissioner is and say they are not doing a good enough job right now. They need to be replaced. Because all of these things, if you work in a bad company, and we've all worked at companies where you think it's not good, the people who are bad or the people who are agitators or a bit poisonous, they need to be removed. And the only people who can remove them are the people at the top.
Yeah.
And so all of this in the league...
Change from the top is what you're saying, Mark.
Has to be. 100%.
I've got a really good example.
And at the moment, the commissioner in the WNBA does nothing. Every time there's something that goes wrong, we've seen players who are having fights.
What side of the fence is she on, if you know what I mean?
She doesn't. She doesn't say a thing. And that's where you're seeing now WNBA coaches and people, they're speaking out going, well, where's her opinion in this? And she says nothing. No press releases, no nothing. She just keeps quiet, always keeps quiet. And it's always the smile and wave person. And you go, yeah, this.
I mean, it's completely divided the league. Golden State Valkyries coach, Natalia Nakasi, she's basically said sports is about belonging. Yep. Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve has publicly disagreed with Cunningham. But Cunningham saying the controversy hasn't distracted the team, insisting they all remain very focused. I have got a really good example, Mark, of things from the top coming down that come into the team.
You just mentioned something that is important, by the way.
What did I say?
Someone publicly disagreed. Great. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's what... Sorry, I forgot I was going to say this. The worst thing that's going to happen is we're going to disagree on something.
Oh, no.
And, sometimes you might get offended with what I say. Sometimes I might get offended. But what's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to be offended.
I do try to offend you where possible.
But we're in a world where it's like, no, you can't offend anyone. Like, get some thick skin. You're going to go through life and someone's going to say words that may upset you.
Ricky Gervais said it, didn't he? About jokes and stuff. He's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You being offended doesn't mean it's not a good joke.
And I've got
there's loads of quotes about that, isn't there?
I can't remember who it was who I heard say this, but it is a great quote. And this is to anyone who we've upset in this episode.
You're welcome.
We will apologize by going, I'm sorry. And they will turn around saying you're not being genuine. And we would turn around and say, so, sometimes we say things that...
Yeah, I mean, I'd go tell them to
might not agree.
Off and, simple as that. But
anyway, Mark, look, I got a good one of a good example. Australian National Rugby League. Manly Eagles the club actually introduced an everyone in the league jersey with rainbow colours all over it for diversity and LGBTQ plus inclusion, and 7 of the players refused to wear it.
Yeah, you can't impose something on people.
And that's what these players were doing. They were saying, because of religious and cultural beliefs, I'm not wearing that jersey. And it created massive diversity. I think it was 3 players and it became 7. But the important aspect of the story was that they apologised for the way they handled the rollout, saying they shouldn't have tried to enforce stuff on players.
You ever wonder sometimes when everyone's trying to be culturally appropriate, sympathetic, diversity and inclusion. It's the DEI, isn't it? Diversity, equity and inclusion. That's the common thing that they have someone in companies and who do that, DEI and all that nonsense. Do you know what's funny is that I always find that the people who are so...
They acknowledged the process
involved
was a significant mistake.
Yeah. But the people who do this stuff and are trying to do this stuff are the ones who end up causing division. That's the irony. The irony is, it's a bit like someone saying, I want to be identified as this or whatever it is. Great. I'm just going to call you Dave because you said my name is Dave. I don't care if you were born a man, a woman, or whatever it is. How do you want me to call you? What's your name? I want to be a they, them, he, she, whatever. What do I call you? Dave. Fine. Dave it is.
Hey, Dave.
That's how I'm going to speak to you. Because I'm just human. I don't have to buy into the way that you think, or that you have to buy in how I think, vice versa. So, it's a weird world that we're in, and I don't have to accept your things, but we just all live in harmony. Very strange. But harmony is what the WNBA doesn't have right now. And I think at the moment, all they're doing
is damaging the league.
They're peeing into their own drink. It's like the profile's been raised.
They're peeing into their own drink.
Yeah, why? You've had this opportunity to have eyeballs on you. Eyeballs is the number 1 currency on the planet. And if they can learn anything, learn from YouTube. That's all the WNBA have to do. Learn from YouTube.
Learn from Bud Light.
Oh, God, yeah. But all they have to see is that there are people who are making videos on YouTube and they're doing... they're spending hours, weeks, days, video and recording. They're traveling places, doing remarkable things and sharing interesting stories or beautiful places around the world. And they'll put a video out there and 5 people will watch it, or maybe 100 at best. Yeah. And you go, if you can be the greatest thing or the most important, impactful thing ever, but it's all about attention. It's about eyeballs.
Yeah.
And there'll be someone else who makes a fart joke and does some really boring, stupid game online, and they'll get 2 million people watch it. At the moment, they've had the 2 million people watching it, and they were supposed to be doing good quality basketball. They're not. Instead, they're just moaning and complaining and fighting in each other. And now it's like you're losing the audience. You lose the audience, you're not going to get the money and all the things that you were trying to achieve. You're not going to get sponsorship. You're not going to get anything. It's like...
I like the fact that with this debate, we've not actually talked about... We've talked about the wider issue. Like, talking is the most important thing.
You need to speak to the people.
I think we've made our feelings very clear.
Of course.
Where we lie with it.
Candice Parker's.
But yeah.
You need to speak to the IOs. You need to get someone really storied in the NBA. Cheryl Miller. Say, what do you think of what it's become?
Yeah.
And what it could be? And I guarantee they will be like, yeah, okay, we have challenges. We're going through. And if they looked at this and said, you know what, we're growing, we're going through a growth spurt and we weren't expecting to be this growth that fast, fine. I think
it's maturity.
Look, I've consulted at companies who have grown faster than they wanted to. And they had some real challenges with, like, we're doing things like we have to fulfill something that we can't do. And you go, that's fine. This is a growth spurt and they should accept that. And if they acknowledge it as that, and we're going through pains, we need to adjust things, but they don't. They just gone quiet, and it's all the top people who've gone quiet. That's why I think they need to be out.
Well, there you go, Mark. There's our views. We got asked. There's the views. And look, if anyone wants to talk to me about it, don't have a go. I'm happy to talk about it.
You are happy to talk about it?
Happy to talk about it, but again, like I said, talking is the most important thing.
Let's leave you with this little stat. 44% year-on-year viewership up for the last 2-3 years. 44% every single year the viewership has gone up from when it rocketed up when Caitlin and all the others in that year came in. And from then, 44% viewership every single year, and it's peaking at like 3.3 million viewers.
There you go. You're doing something right.
You're doing something right. People want to watch it. Don't give them a reason to turn off.
I got Sophie Clark right by my feet. I think I kicked her in the head by mistake.
Sophie Clark, yeah. Yeah, she's loving it.
You should take a picture and take a picture of her and see AI a Sophie Cunningham jersey on her.
Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Right, there we go.
So ends.
See how many people we've upset today.
Oh,
hey, we probably did the biggest Snowflake warning we've ever done today.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who haven't turned off, thank you so much for listening to our ramble and our frustration with the WNBA. Back to normal service. Happy, light, and enjoyable next episode. Tune in for that one. I've been Mark.
I've been Paul. And whether you agree with Sophie Cunningham or not, the bigger issue is whether people can express a view on controversial topics without being told that there's only one acceptable opinion. Healthy societies make room for disagreement and debate rather than expecting everyone to think the same old way.
Except about badminton.
Yeah, we don't like that. Don't like badminton.
We love it.